Hello, this is my Media Arts 2 project, I think. This is Noah Jones speaking, and this is the thing I chose to do for my project, which is a podcast. Sitting next to me is someone that's very special to me, someone that I have been friends with since the end of last year, and who's kind of knowledged in the topic that I'm doing, which is lost media. So everyone, give a warm welcome to Mikey.
Hi, I'm Mikey. Thank you so much, Noah, for having me.
It's no problem. You know, from what I've heard, or from you at least, you are into lost media at least a little bit.
You definitely got me more interested in it. I could never compare the knowledge that you have.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to, raise my ego.
You don't have to be humble. After all, this is a project on what you're interested in, and you're definitely interested in this.
Yeah, you're right.
It's okay to show it off.
Thank you. But yeah, from what I can tell, Mikey, knows at least a bit. When we first did this, I didn't think I was recording, so I had to get Dan, and we had a little technical stuff. But we're recording now, so I'm gonna have to regather my thoughts and just say them again. Although it might be a bit rough, so just bear with us.
Yeah, this type of stuff happens.
Yeah. And I don't have a script for this. We're doing this unscripted, so just bear with us while we mostly I stumble around trying to.
But also keep in mind that everything that we mention and every detail that he goes into, he knows off the top of his head, which proves that he's very interested in it.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Then we're gonna go into. Well, we'll do some examples here and there, but I'm just gonna ask you a couple questions. We shouldn't be here too long, because I know that you have other things to do. And I'll just ask the first question, which is do you have any personal pieces of lost media that you like to share? If so, what? And if you don't, then that's fine too.
Yeah.
But just answer what you can. It doesn't have to be too formal.
Mm-hmm.
Just say what you want to say.
All right, thank you, Noah. Sounds good. One piece of lost media that I think of off the top of my head is one that's fan-made. It's called The Clockman. So for context, I'm sure Noah can go a little bit into it, but lost media is basically, it's a lot of times people remember something from a piece of media, like a TV show or a segment on a cartoon or something, and they have specific memories of it, but the actual show is lost, so all of the pieces of media that were, shown on TV, nobody can find it. And the whole lost media thing is different communities and people come together on the internet, on places like Reddit and stuff, and they kind of, they come together, and then they all work together, people of different professions and stuff, to find footage of this piece of lost media. And so a lot of times they have fan-made titles because people forget where it's from, they forget what it's called, but they have specific memories of this TV show. A lot of the times it's, something scarier because that comes to people's mind. They wake up and they're like, do you know what I remember? I remember this piece of media where there's a person sleeping in their bed and a man comes out of a clock and he greets this girl in a dream, and it's an animation. That's the one that I remember, and it's fan-made, and it's called The Clockman.
Yeah, and it sounds really disturbing when it sounds like that. Although it's not you. Yeah. It's just how the original person remembers it. It turns out the Clockman is actually real.
So this one was found.
Yeah, it was found. It turns out the Clockman was not like a rumor online. It was actually real.
Yeah, sometimes they're like rumors. Like sometimes people start stuff on the internet just to send people in a wild goose chase to find a certain piece of media. And sometimes people have like memories of like a real piece of media, and then there's like 12 different examples of where it could have come from. And people, our memory can fail us, and people are like, no, I don't remember that one. It's like different in this little detail. And so it can really be a wild goose chase, and it's kind of rare to find the original of where it's from. So it's really cool that we found the original for the Clockman.
Yeah. It turns out that the actual title of the Clockman was about Dressy Sally, which is about this girl who has an uptight mother who wants her to not lose things, like don't lose this, don't lose that, etc., etc. And she gives her gloves, and like a pair of gloves. And Sally goes out and starts to play and stuff, but she ends up losing the gloves, and she ends up going to a wizard about her problem and says, I lost my gloves. I'm worried that my mother will get mad at me. What should I do? And the wizard said that he'll make up some gloves for her as long as she tells her mother what happened. And she goes home. Sally goes home, and she doesn't tell her mother what happens. So that night, we'll call him the Clockman, because the Clockman ends up sneaking upstairs to her room and ends up coming through a cuckoo clock, hence the name, and ends up taking her back to his lair, which sounds very disturbing.
It does.
when put like that.
There's no better way to describe it. I mean, it's a wizard who comes out of a clock. What can you expect?
Yep, and the fact that it's at night and
it makes sense that people wonder, like, is this real? Was I dreaming this?
Yeah.
And also, what an unreasonable request on the wizard's part to ask her not to tell her mother that a wizard came to her in her sleep and gave her gloves. I mean, I wouldn't tell my parents. That's creepy, and they would not believe me.
Yeah. It seems very far-fetched.
It does.
It seems very far-fetched. And when the wizard brings her back to his lair, he says, why didn't you tell your mother what happened? And she says, oh, well, telling the truth is hard.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get in trouble, etc., etc. And the wizard said that, well, you need to do some work for me to pay off what you did. And he gives her like a spool of thread and a needle and tells her to make stars out of like crocheting. And when she finally makes the stars, and you said that it had a kind of spacey kind of vibe to it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it did. It was kind of, it's interesting that he made her make stars for him. That's kind of, yeah.
I guess that just kind of adds to the whole, the kind
dreamy effect.
Yeah. And then when she finally makes the stars, he lets her go. She tells her mother what happened, and then the problem is resolved.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the original Clockman short originally aired on a show called Pinwheel, which is like a children's show that aired on Nickelodeon. And
I personally didn't know that Nickelodeon was that old, because when did it come out?
I think there was I think Pinwheel was like an 80s show, maybe like a 70s, 80s show. Yes, Nickelodeon was around that long. Actually, I've heard somewhere that I think it was like there was someone online that said that back in the day there was like these theaters called Nickelodeons where people would pay nickels to see shows. Hence the name.
Yeah.
Obviously, because theaters are usually the theaters you see nowadays are like show theaters or like movie theaters.
Or Arts of the Capitol Theater.
Or Arts of the Capitol Theater. Obviously, you won't see a lot of cartoons being played unless they're like movies, back in the day, Bugs Bunny cartoons before they were shown on like Boomerang nowadays were like shown in theaters, at least to my knowledge, at least.
Maybe this will convince Dan to let people go to Film Fest for a nickel.
Yeah. I think another example of lost media. Oh, by the way, you can consider Pinwheel like a Sesame Street in a way, even though Sesame Street was still airing back in the 70s and 80s.
Same vibe, yeah.
Yeah, but that transitions over nicely to another example that I can think of called The Crackmaster, which is a Sesame Street segment that was like released in, was it 1975? I think it was 1975. And it was about this little girl that was lying in her bed on a rainy day, and she noticed that the crack on her wall, or in her wall, looks like a camel, and she says,
I remember that one.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and it's her imagination.
I mean, that's kind of a theme on Sesame Street for those like short segment things for it to kind of talk about the imagination or have, because I don't think Sesame Street had that. It was like an educational show and it was one of the first ones, but it wasn't really like My Little Pony where there's like a theme of friendship or something or a theme in that one that we just talked about, the Dream Man of not telling lies. It's kind of just, you know, the imagination, like short stories and stuff.
She asked the camel, "Oh, it's a rainy day. Can I come with you and go see other crack?" And he says yes, and they see crack monkey and crack hen, which are other crack animals. Yes, crack hen, crack monkey.
Yeah, what's the crack animals thing about? Why are they crack animals?
Because they're cracks in the wall.
They're fragments in the wall. Yeah.
Although they could have worded that a lot better, considering that, you know, crack is a drug.
So you know, like, I'm looking at the AV booth right now and making me think about it. You know how sometimes when there's like an old wall, there's you can see some lines in the wall and it's kind of like a sign of aging. That's the kind of crack that we're talking about, like marks in the wall, and she's looking at her wall and she sees those marks and her imagination goes wild and she sort of, like someone looks at constellations and sees symbols, she's looking at her cracked wall and sees these animals.
Or like how people look at clouds in the sky and like a blue sky, like a sunny day, and they'll see shapes and figures. And when the gang's all rounded up, I guess, they go to see this creature called the Crack Master, which is like this big scary face in the wall, and they ask who he is, and like they go, "Who are you?" And then the Crack Master goes, "I'm the Crack Master," and he starts like making these scary faces and stuff, and then he ends up crumpling to bits and then falling apart. And the short says that he ended his life trying to be me. So they all go back to the bedroom, and the girl says, "Thank you for taking me to go see the crack animals. I'll come again sometime to go see them again." Aside from being shown a few times after like 1975 here and there, the short kind of disappeared, for lack of a better term, although no concrete reason was given. Although the Lost Media Wiki, which is a sort of reliable source, says, well, I'm not sure if it's
Here we go, Noah talking about Wikipedia being a reliable source. 10 points off! 10 points off, Noah!
So yeah, the Lost Media Wiki says that although one reason could be why the short was disappeared from the show was because of the usage of the word cracks, which is, you know, a reference, well, not a reference to drugs, but it sounds like the drug. And there was like this search online back in like 2008, and apparently, from what I remember, this guy who was searching for it got a package at his door that had a tape on it that had the short.
Which is super spooky, by the way.
It is.
Maybe the package was labeled crack.
That would be.
That would get him in trouble, probably.
Yep. And there was also a note that said, "Here's the segment, but you can't tell anyone about it." And so after that, things were kind of. I'm not sure exactly how the story goes, but on December 24th, Christmas Eve of 2013, the segment, the Crack Master segment, was actually uploaded to YouTube by a YouTube user called the Lost Media Archive or something. Let me
Not like a company or anything. It's just some random person's YouTube page.
Yeah, it's called it was uploaded by Lost Media Wiki, the YouTuber. It was uploaded by a YouTuber called Lost Media Wiki, which may or may not be the website, although it could be up to interpretation. And can I say that this might have been a very good Christmas present for those who are trying to, because it was uploaded on Christmas Eve of 2013.
That must have been planned. There is no way that wasn't planned.
Yep. Merry Christmas. Here's some random sketch that people have been trying to look for that sounds like here's some random Sesame Street segment about a girl talking to animals with the name Crack.
It seems like it came out of nowhere. I mean, they must have been holding on to that piece of information for a while.
Yeah. Another piece of lost media. Actually, I think maybe I should pull up some examples.
We're getting the research in here, okay?
I'm pulling up the stuff that I was
We got the receipts, okay?
We do. I'm pulling up the stuff that I'm pulling up all this. I'm pulling up all these notes that I took because I'm putting them to.
Yeah, we're not playing over here.
Yeah, I'm putting them to good use. If I'm gonna write stuff down, I'm gonna put them to good use.
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. There was like this. Excuse me. I think I'm gonna lose my voice by the end of this.
We're getting riled up here.
Yeah. So another one of my interests, which, another one of my interests, which could also, be a double whammy here, lost media and the topic that I'm gonna briefly touch on here.
Two birds with one stone.
Two birds with one stone. You're right. Is anti-drug tapes, like anti-drug stuff, like the I don't know. I love it. There's just something about people taking time out of their life to make these PSAs and stuff about the use of drugs. It's also noble, but also kind of entertaining at the same time, especially when it's from like the 70s or 80s or 90s.
Or John, tea and drugs and alcohol, not even once.
Yep. Anyone who was at ACT last year would remember that. Like anyone who was at ACT before I was will probably know what that is or who made that.
Every time there's an ACT party, we pull up at least one AV Majors music. We pull up at least one AV Majors video on the TV.
Yeah. But anyway. There's just something interesting about just people taking time out of their life to make these anti-drug tapes and just talk about the use of drugs. Mm-hmm. And one of these is called The Adventures of RF Ant. Let me just go into the notes I took here. So in May 15th of 2009, there was this YouTuber called Kingrowski that uploaded like this compilation of clips from this cartoon featuring an ant, possibly named RF Ant. I'll explain where I got the title in a sec. And the ant character just talks about this other ant character named Misty who takes drugs that were left behind by her big sister, and she ends up taking it and wanting to be like wild and free and stuff. And there's also a scene where she ends up ODing at a rock concert, which is something, I guess. There's also this other story that he tells about this blonde ant girl. Although her name's not said in the tape, it could be not in the tape. In the YouTube upload, it could have been said in the full version of the tape or cartoon. Although it's yet to be. Although the who knows? So yeah, the blonde girl is worried about being fat. It's one of those situations where it's one of those situations where someone worries that they're overweight when they aren't, and it's a body image thing.
Yeah, like body.
Hey, quick editor's note here. I'm just adding this in because I said I would get to where I got the title from later on in the podcast, but I never got to saying where I got it from, so I'm just adding this in. I actually got the title from a website called WorldCat, which is probably not a very reliable source, but I don't think there's any other source of information about this tape. The description of the Kingrowski upload also mentions that the tape's title was The Adventures of RF Ant. So yeah, the website WorldCat also says that the tape was made in 1991. So I'm just adding that in there as well, just cause. Just to add a little bit more information about this tape. Misty, the girl from before, gives her pill called amphetamine that it's very hard to say who's who when one of the characters has a name and the other doesn't.
What are both the characters' names? Well, what's the first one's name?
RF is one narrating, and the girl.
We can just call the other one the blonde girl.
Yeah, we'll just call.
Yeah, RF and the blonde girl. Those are the characters.
And Misty too.
Mm-hmm.
So the blonde girl takes the drug and then ends up having a hard time in class because RF says that your mind works faster but not as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's like this segment with live action kids on like a green screen thing, and they end up. And as of now, the full like tape, if it even exists, hasn't been uploaded on YouTube, with only that small bit of footage from King Groski being available.
Yeah, so a lot of times with Lost Media, there's clips that exist, but they're usually low quality, like someone taking a video of the clip like on their phone or like a video recorder, or like it being in the background, and that's kind of evidence for it existing, you know, but there's no concrete piece of footage that has like the name or the full, you know, clip.
Yeah. There could also be like no footage available at all, and there's only like screenshots or word of mouth or word of quote unquote word of God, which is like word of the creator. I'm also going to this is an interesting one, although it's quick trigger warning. If you're not I know this is probably one of the worst times to talk about this, all things considering. But if you all are kind of uncomfortable with the current situation between Palestine and Israel, or just war in general, I recommend just taking time to just go out in the hallway, just not be in the room while we talk about this. Because if you are, then I wouldn't want to put you through that. So there was this Palestinian show that aired in 2007, and this is going to get dark. Like, this is going to get very. So I'll try to kind of make light of this to not have it so dark, because this has been a very kind of comedic kind of podcast so far, and I wouldn't want to put a damper on things. But I'm not trying to make fun of the situation. I want to make it lighter than it should be.
Of course.
So there was this show that aired on Palestine called Tomorrow's Pioneers. And the show is infamous for two reasons. One of the costume characters that they use, because they use costume characters, was actually like stolen, I think, or like it was like it's basically like the Palestinian version of Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I should. One sec.
We'll do some research real quick.
Actually, Mikey, does this picture look familiar to you at all?
No, it doesn't.
That's right if it doesn't. I'm just asking. Anyway, you guys probably might not be able to see the picture because I'm pulling it up on my computer. Although I could have it pulled up on Dan's big TV screen if need.
I'll describe it real quick.
Yeah.
So it's it looks like one of those Disney suits in like Disney World of the character Mickey Mouse, but it's a low quality image, and it seems like it's definitely not an official suit, but it's someone in a Mickey Mouse suit with a kind of children's background that looks like a set with those puzzle piece floor tiles on the wall.
Yeah, if anyone knows what those are, like the foam, like those foam.
Yeah.
Like those foam puzzle piece things.
It's just like a kid's rug, and it looks like it's on the background of the image, so it's obviously a children's setting, and it's this kind of messed up, ugly looking version of a Mickey Mouse suit.
Yeah, can I just say that these costumes are not very pretty to look at?
They're very creepy.
There are other characters aside from this Mickey Mouse guy named the mouse guy's named Farfur, by the way, which is like the Arabic word for mouse, which is ironic. There's also this bee character, and from the picture that I have pulled up here of the bee, even though he's a boy in the male in the actual show, he has eyelashes and these big dark eyes. He has these big dark circles.
It looks like a very dirty suit. It looks like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yep. Actually, this would actually make for a good reference for the next a possible Five Nights at Freddy's game.
That's true. A lot of times for Five Nights at Freddy's, there's a lot of fan-made videos based off of it, and they're called VHS tapes. And a lot of times those FNAF quote-unquote VHS tapes that are actually modern are inspired by old lost media things like this.
Yeah. And there's also this rabbit character, who I won't go into. And he's not important. He's not important. Unless you count one episode of the show, he's not important right now. So the show is infamous because it steals, obviously Mickey Mouse. It is also infamous because it taught kids anti-Semitic themes and anti-Western themes, and promoted the hatred towards the Jewish. Because I don't know what this world's coming to. I really don't.
That's crazy.
I really don't. I really don't.
When was this made?
2007.
It looks much older than 2007. Okay, that is a creepy looking thing.
Oh my god, this is probably the worst possible time to talk about this.
That's okay.
This is terrible. See, I won't go too much into the show because if you want to look up the show on your own time, you can. There's a Wikipedia page about it. There's also a YouTube video that goes into the show made by Nick Crowley, who's a YouTuber.
I wonder how many pieces of lost media promote propaganda, because a big part of the lost media thing is that they're deleted off. A lot of times they can't find the original material for the media because they're deleted off of where it was originally posted.
Yeah.
And maybe a lot of them like promote propaganda or weird themes because they were deleted.
Yeah. Speaking of Mickey Mouse and propaganda, I'm gonna get to another topic of that in a little bit.
I'm excited.
But yeah, this show just it's horrible stuff. Very sick, twisted people. And one thing to note about the show is that for the season finale, each of the costume characters die. Well, that's something that you wouldn't find on Sesame Street.
Yeah, that's not.
Yep.
Did they steal Mickey Mouse for this? Is it like pirate?
I mean, not like I don't think they would have stole Mickey Mouse just to tarnish his image in this way. But I think they just used the character just I'm not sure.
Yeah, like in an illegal way because this isn't like Disney endorsed, right?
Yep. Well, I can tell you, Disney wouldn't endorse this. We can make references to how Walt Disney didn't like Jewish people or Israel people. But this is something that Disney would not make.
Yeah, especially so modern.
Yeah, I know we could try and say that like Pocahontas or something was not conceived very well because of how the people were portrayed. But I can tell you, Disney would not make something like this. Not at all. Not at all.
Especially it's creepy.
Yep. I think Disney ditched the propaganda stuff in like the 50s or something.
Now it's more hidden.
Yep.
Dun dun dun.
Aside from that, I mean, in terms of full episodes, that's probably a no-no considering the actual show itself. But there have been like a couple of clips online that you can watch at your own risk, of course, because I don't think, unless you're a freakazoid like me, would want to watch it would want to watch something like this on your own time and not for like research purposes. But if you're curious about what the show would look like, I recommend just looking it up on YouTube and stuff. But this piece of Lost Media I'm going to talk about actually is about what appears to be like a later version of the show. Like in 2013, I think, there was like this program that aired on Palestinian TV that had a chicken character called Karkur, the mischievous chicken. And he was played by this man who was supposedly like this gentle soul who was very nice, very kind. And he was like a TV host not like a TV host, he was like this guy who created the character. Although what people don't mention is that he was a high-profile terrorist.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
Obviously not a lot of regulations on TV, at least at this time.
How do people allow something like this to air? I mean, I get public access stuff, but not like on actual TV stations.
Yeah.
Who has a low opinion of Arabic children this much?
It's crazy.
That they allowed something like this.
Especially so recently.
Yep. Absolutely.
Question everything, guys. True facts.
Hello. We're back. This is our recording 2. So it's like this is our second recording for the podcast. We just took a little short, but we're back now.
Hi.
And here's Mikey.
Hi.
We're back again.
I'm so glad to be back.
Yeah. I'm glad to have you. I'm glad to have you back.
Thank you, Noah.
You're welcome. So as for Tomorrow's Pioneers, as I said before, no full episodes are no full episodes, I guess, are online. Only like a few clips here and there. I think this is because of like the content that's in the show. That's why no full episodes won't be released anytime soon. I mean, I'm sure there's probably like some archived full episodes, but I'm not sure where they are or if they actually exist. As for Karkur, the mischievous chicken, only a short bit of footage from that is available for viewing on the Nick Crowley video, the video that I mentioned before, the video that YouTuber named Nick Crowley made. He also added in a bit of footage of Karkur. There's also like a screenshot of Karkur taken from an episode, although the episode where it comes from has not been it's not available in full or for viewing. Only that short screenshot. So yeah, that's Tomorrow's Pioneers for you. It's a dark little show, but it's dark, but it's
It has some interesting content.
yeah, in its history, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, I remember that Mikey, when we first recorded, told me about this. Told me about a piece of lost media that they have about the Disney Fast Play, and I'll just hand over the microphone to them and let them talk about it.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Nolan. So I was asked, like, in the podcast previously, some examples of lost media I could think of, and one that I specifically remember was there's this phenomenon where a lot of people remember something. People call it like the Mandela effect. I believe it has something to do with Nelson Mandela and then like the date that he went to or like died in prison. It's a phenomenon where a lot of people remember something, but it ends up not being true. And one thing that I remember was in the Disney Fast Play series, you know, the Disney Fast Play, it would have the blue background, and then it would have Tinkerbell, and not like a fully colored in Tinkerbell, more of like a more vintage Disney Tinkerbell, and this would show up, you know, on the TV screen. And I remember seeing it when I was younger. It was Tinkerbell, and she was the same. She was like, you know, just a white silhouette really, but it was very obviously her, and she was tiny, and she flew in from the right-hand corner of the screen, and she had her wand, and there was the Disney logo below her, kind of floating. And I don't remember exactly if it was a Disney logo, but she had a wand, and she tapped her wand on something and made a little tink sound like the Disney logo or something. And then she looked at her wand, realized it didn't work, tinked it again, like she went tink on it again, and it didn't work. And then she looked at it one more time, and I think she rubbed it against her hip or something, and then she went tink with her wand one last time, and then she used the magic in her wand to create this castle that grew like kind of magically from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen. So the regular, you know, Disney Cinderella castle rose from the bottom, and it was like a vintage kind of logo. It was the original, you know, Cinderella style with the original Tinkerbell, and I can specifically remember her with her wand tapping it 3 times, and on the last time only it worked, and you know, with the classic Disney magic and Cinderella, it kind of rose from the ground. I looked, and apparently this never existed, and this is a piece of lost media, which is crazy to me. And everywhere that I looked for it, I could not find it. I'm confident that somebody is going to find this piece of lost media, which is that there's been a lot of similar scenes, you know, from Disney Fast Play, stuff like that. But in those, Tinkerbell only taps the castle once, and then it like kind of blows up and it works. But I specifically remember her tapping it 2 times, it not working, and then tapping it once more, and then the castle grew. But apparently this never existed.
So I remember the Disney Fast Play. I had like I think I had like a couple DVDs of Disney movies, and I remember the Disney Fast Play, and just the only thing I remember from the Disney Fast Play was just that guy speaking, and it's like Disney Fast Play, use remote. Yeah, it's nostalgic, but I don't think I remember. I don't think I remember what you. I don't think I know. I don't think I remember. I don't think I remember that version of the Disney Fast Play thing. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting, and I don't think it's been mentioned online before.
I think it's less in the lost media category and more in like the Mandela effect category. You know?
Right.
Because it kind of fits into both.
Yeah, it does fit into both. That's something that Mikey remembers, that a piece of quote-unquote lost media, although it also could count as something of the Mandela effect, that Mikey knows. It's not, I don't think it was ever mentioned online, so Mikey's the first person I'm hearing this from.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You're welcome. I didn't really, I know about Disney Fast Play from the DVDs I had as a kid, and I don't think I've ever saw that before. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway,
what do you think is the most interesting piece of lost media to you?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure.
That's alright. I know you know a lot, so it's probably hard to choose from.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not. I'm doing this because I'm not sure because I'm trying to go off the top of my head and there's just nothing there.
That's alright. You want to look at the list that we made of questions?
Sure. Hey, at least I have some stuff to cut out of me just going and stuttering.
Hey, that's alright. It happens.
Okay. The next question, number 2, is what are your favorite types of lost media to research? And if you don't know, then that's fine.
I'm not sure about types, but I think it's interesting to find the ones that haven't been found.
Yeah.
Because it leaves me thinking, where have I seen this to see if I can contribute anything.
Number 3, number 3, how long, do you ever wonder if, with all these new discoveries made, this is number 3, do you ever wonder if, with all these new discoveries made, if we will run out of lost media? This is I think is a big question.
Yeah.
Because there's been lots of discoveries made over the years, made by different people online, and it's with all these new things being discovered, it's I wonder if we're ever going to run out of lost media, if it's even possible, because there are lots and lots of types of lost media, or just examples of lost media, and me, I just wonder, and I want to know what you think about it.
All right, thank you for asking. I don't think that we're going to run out of lost media. I think that in the future there's going to be even more cases of lost media because of how heavy the presence of the internet is. And even though nothing's really gone on the internet, we know about internet footprint, nothing's really lost.
Yeah.
I think as technology progresses and has progressed, the internet, it's blown up so fast, even with YouTube and stuff. Videos get deleted. Sometimes I'm looking for a video and I just can't find it, and that is because of just there's so much stuff on YouTube,
Yeah.
And so I think that as the internet progresses, there's going to be more and more cases of things being lost and things being deleted, and there's going to be different types of lost media, YouTube lost media, like I just mentioned, or TikTok lost media, stuff like that, and it's going to be harder to find the stuff because there's so many different platforms to share this on, with the vintage cases of lost media. I call it vintage, but it's, recently, it's been in the last 50 years. It's usually on cable TV, and so it's easier to find.
Yeah.
You could just look back at the most top 5 popular, channels on cable, and then usually, that's how we find the lost media.
Yeah.
Now it's you have to scour the internet far and wide, but there's going to be more and more cases of people posting things, forgetting their... So I had a bunch of TikTok accounts or Musical.ly accounts when I was younger, but I forgot the password to them. So the accounts are still up, but I can't access the accounts to delete them because I forgot my password. And I think that even silly stuff like that people don't really think twice over right now, that could end up as lost media someday, because it'll be hard to find the ownership of certain videos to find more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good take. I just kind of zoned out a bit, so I'm sorry if I didn't catch everything.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
But I'm glad you answered that. I'm glad that you answered that. I'm trying to think.
Don't worry about it.
I'm glad that you answered it. I'm glad you answered that knowing what you know.
Thank you.
Or in your opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got another example of lost media. This is personal.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think I should. I don't think this counts as lost media because it's not, actually lost.
Yeah.
But I just thought I'd mention it real quick. Do you know this YouTuber named Jane Animations?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, I remember back in February of 2021, somewhere around that time, or somewhere around that time. Jane made a video about Minecraft, and she did a video with this YouTuber called Call Me Carson.
Yeah.
And if you look on her channel nowadays, it's not there. This is probably because of some controversy that happened regarding Call Me Carson, which I won't get into here. But I guess that's why the channel is not the video isn't on our channel anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Although there is a re-upload of it, so that's why it's not technically lost, but it's not up on our channel anymore. I mean, you can still watch the re-upload. It's,
Yeah, but it's not on it's not on the original account.
Yeah. That's actually kind of like a thing with YouTube. Something will happen and a video will get deleted, but then a re-upload will resurface, so it's not technically gone, but it's not.
Yeah.
But it's not, on the original upload on the person's channel. So that's.
How would you describe that differing from original lost media?
With lost media, only a bit of something is available, or sometimes it's not available at all. It's completely lost.
Yeah.
With re-uploads, it's the actual video, but it's not on the person's channel anymore. It's not technically lost, but it's not one of the original uploads on the channel.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That the person uploaded to YouTube. So I guess that's a little difference between the two.
Yeah. So it just depends how much is out there.
Yeah. Number 4. How long have you been interested in lost media, and why do you feel that you enjoy lost media as a topic?
That's a good question. All these are. I think I got most interested in lost media, maybe 3 years ago, because I was a really big YouTube fan.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of fell down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But I kind of fell out of it maybe 2 years ago, and then after being your friend, I got more into it because it reminded me of the stuff that I've heard of before, and it's kind of interesting looking back at the lost media that I was interested in before, because a lot of them are found now, because with time a lot of them get found. I think that lost media is so compelling because of the fact that it's something that a lot of people, no matter what you watch, where you come from, what time you were interested in, what time you live in, there's gonna be some piece of lost media that you might identify with, because it's not like a TV show where it's out of my generation. It's I think it'll always happen, and it's happened for a very long time. If there was a name for it in the 30s, maybe there'd be lost media for newspapers or something, if that makes sense. I think that it's something that the appeal to me is that communities of people from all over, anywhere in the world, can come together and they can solve something, and you can work towards solving it. And even if you don't have access to, these fancy tools that a lot of these professionals use, these networking skills, knowing different animators and, cable channels and blah, 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 it's just from putting down what you remember, you can contribute to this fun thing, and a lot of times there's a good outcome of it, which the outcome would be, finding the media.
Right. Well, thank you for answering that.
Of course.
And thank you for answering it. Again, I kind of just blanked out, so I'm.
Hey, don't worry about it.
If I didn't catch it.
Hey, you're the one editing it, so if I say something wrong, you can just cut me out.
That's right. I can always, because we're recording this, because I can always go back and just listen, because it's not like it's in one ear, not the other. I have it saved. So
yeah, exactly. I gotta listen more than you do.
But anyway, thank you for answering it in that detail, or like in great detail.
Yeah, of course.
You're answering these very well so far.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was thinking I probably should have read. I got these questions emailed to me. Thank you, Noah. I actually did not read the contents of the email because we talk a lot. Like, in my defense, we talk a lot, and I don't like to read emails. So I didn't see the questions prior, and I was like, going into this, I was like, maybe I should have read the questions to prepare some answers. But so far, they're very well worded questions, and I feel like I have answers for a lot of these.
Right. That's good. You don't have to answer. Again, you don't have to answer these you don't have to answer these very formally. You can just say what you want to say.
Heck yeah.
And you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about that. Right?
You've been a very good host.
Thank you. Number 5. What are some pieces of lost media you would like to be found, and why? And if you don't, again, that's fine.
Talking about questions I don't know the answer to. I don't know the answer to this one. I think I don't have a specific piece of lost media that I would like to be found. I'm sure that like you have one, which I'd like to hear the answer to that. But I think that, oddly enough, some cases of lost media I think would be more interesting if they weren't found, just to see. A lot of times when people are looking for lost media, it's a lot of people putting their memories onto a page. And, I think if they never found a piece of lost media and there was just this idea that people from all over came together and then shared their memories of, them seeing it, I think it would be interesting to see an animation based off of what everyone remembers. So a script, I guess, based off of just the memories of tons of different people, because, memory, that's like telephone, it changes so vastly, and somebody is bound to not remember the same thing as somebody else. I think that if somebody made an animation or like a show based off of all these different people's ideas, and then maybe after that they found the actual source material, seeing how much it differed from all these people's ideas turned into, a show or an animation, and then seeing that versus the actual thing that everybody remembers and putting it side to side, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Although I haven't thought about doing something like that myself. Yeah, I don't think I've ever thought of doing that before. So that's a very out there kind of concept, but it sounds like something that would really bring people who are into lost media together, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
And see what, and if it is, and like you said, if it is found, they could also like put side by side what they thought was the actual lost media, and then the lost media topic, the lost media piece itself, and then see what's the same and what's different.
No, yeah, you get me.
Yeah. And the internet's also like a game of telephone. Well, not really the internet, but mostly what people say on the internet can change depending on the person. Oh my god,
totally. We were just talking, I think in this recording, or maybe in the last recording that we saved, we were just talking about like Wikipedia being a source, and the wiki pages for different like cases of lost media.
Yeah.
The internet, man, some of these like the stuff that's posted for like the solved quote unquote lost media, I could swear that wasn't what I'm thinking of. So sometimes people post the wrong thing.
Yeah, Wikipedia is very not sometimes isn't a reliable source. People can just go on there and change whatever and pass it off as something that's factual. But then again, that's just the internet.
Yeah.
This is the last question, so we're almost done. We're almost done here.
Right.
How do you feel about the many topics of lost media being found / lost in the first place? Like, how do you feel about these different kinds of pieces of lost media being found, and some that are still lost to this day?
I don't really know. Could you reword that?
How do you feel about all these pieces of lost media that are being found nowadays, or like not all of them, but like some of them?
Yeah, I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
I think that I was talking about earlier how the more and more the time goes on, I think that more and more is going to be hard to find. I think that it's exciting how popular the lost media genre is, and I think that the more people get into the lost media genre, the more, can be found, and that's obviously like a goal. So I think that at the same time, we're closer and closer to reaching the goal, but we're also farther and farther away, which makes it more fun and, viable to a large audience, which I think we're gaining.
Right. And it leaves more of an open door to have more lost media be found.
Yeah, totally.
Although it kind of varies. Because, something can be found, something can't be, and it kind of depends.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on what it is.
And how you look at it.
But yeah. Thank you for answering these questions, and thank you for just being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so exciting.
Really, it's no trouble. I'd love to have you. If I do a podcast like this again, I'd love to have you on if you want to.
I'd love to join.
Thanks. Yeah, that's basically it for the podcast. Thank you all for just tuning in and listening to us just talk for like a few minutes about lost media. This is a topic that I think this is a topic that I really, not really enjoy, but I enjoy, just like watching videos about it sometimes.
Yeah.
Or just hearing about these kinds of pieces of lost media being talked about online. And I'm glad that I have someone here to just share the interest with.
It's always good having someone with the same interests as you. Gives you something to talk to, somebody to talk to.
It's no fun having an interest of your own. It's not fun having an interest and not having anyone to share it with.
Yeah, talking on the internet on different forums, it only does so much.
Yeah. It gets kind of lonely after a while, but
it does.
Yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for just tuning in and just listening to us just talk for minutes about lost media.
I hope you guys are having as much fun as I am.
Yeah, I really hope so too. And I can't wait to hear everyone else talk about their stuff that they're interested in. And yeah, bye for now.